Hey everyone, my name is Micca. I would like to show you some of my pictures I've took on iPhone 10 and iPhone 10s. And if you're interested, let's have a discussion and let's talk about my samples. So all of my samples are taken on iPhone 10 and 10s on auto. And on iPhone 10s I have Smart HDR enabled. And as you can see in the pictures, if it says taken iPhone 10s, it's this one. It just says S in the end. So that's the 10s version. And yeah, let's have a look. So 10s and iPhone 10X. I'm gonna call it X, but everyone knows it's 10, but X. Here, as you can see, it's a night shot. It's pretty much one of the only pictures I have taken on flash. We can definitely see a lot of noise on 10, but on iPhone 10s we can see that smoothing. It's insane smoothing that is happening that I actually don't like as much. It depends on scenario, the way I've seen it that is being used, but I mean you can definitely see the wall is seen more because the field of view is also wider. Moving on, complete darkness on 10s and complete darkness on 10X. And here's the interesting part. Although you can see that there's a complete, oh, maybe there's a mistake. Let me correct itself. I don't think this is the X version. Oh, it is the X version. What? That is very strange. I thought this is the 10 version. It looks like there's actually more seen here than here. Look at the smoothing here. That's why I was a bit confused. Yeah, I mean 10s is not doing well. 10x is definitely a better one in terms of like showing more detail. Moving on, I have a picture from my apartment and or flat. I have this on S and this on 10. Now, I do remember this picture and I remember taking it. This is not what it was, seen from my window. This is much more closer. Although I think HDR is a good thing, Smart HDR on iPhone 10s is sometimes way too unnecessary. It's too aggressive. Like, obviously you can see some more stuff here, more detail in these buildings, more detail even the reflection of my bedroom. But here in this case we definitely see less. But the colors are much more accurate to the real. This is just wrong. And I mean, again, it really depends on scenario. Like here, for example, 10s, 10x. Like the color of the neon of the cat is definitely more correct. It's much more true to life on iPhone 10s. And however, you see that Boss and this Mont Blanc in the back, it's actually less detailed. See, there's much more. It's much more detailed in this photo on iPhone 10X. So again, I feel like there is a bit of smoothing going on that it's just unnecessary. Like if we go to a bit more detail, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like this is to me, I'm not sure. To me, this looks much more higher detail than this one, and same for this one as well. So I mean, it's much more detail in the foreground, I think, and much less detail in the background for iPhone 10s. And I don't really know why and how we can just maybe turn it off. Maybe Smart HDR is the one that it should be corrected. So here we have iPhone 10s, iPhone 10x. Now, obviously, the big thing we can see difference is there's just way more picture in 10s, and that is this side of the church. But of course, it's taken a bit in a different angle. But there is definitely more to be seen on iPhone 10s, and also 10s pictures. The quality and the color of the green leaves here and here as well, much more accurate, and not too bad on 10x as well, but much more accurate. Here we have red and bunch of tones of I guess green, dark green. This is 10s and this is 10x. The difference is actually not that big. So this is one of those cases where you can definitely see the field of view being better wider, I guess, on iPhone 10s. And also if you look at the lights underneath here, you can see that 10x is just exposing too much, and here you can definitely see individual lights like light bulbs of that part, and if we put it together, we will see like definitely big difference in terms of the quality here and here. We can see, am I hallucinating, or the quality here is actually less than here? Let's have a look. I'm unsure, to be honest. I don't know which one is sharper, but color is definitely much more right on 10s. But yeah, on the other hand, we have something written, something seen here. Nothing is seen here, and the lights underneath and the lights here are, you know, completely better on iPhone XS, as well as you can see the head of horse here, and there's nothing here. So that's the benefit of iPhone XS. It's just a little bit wider in that sense. Moving on, iPhone XS and iPhone XS. You don't see much of a difference. To me, you actually can see much more sharper image here, but you can definitely see here the Osleen, this written text is way worse here. It's way overexposed, and here it's just much more nicer. But again, it's not a huge difference. You can definitely see some redness on top of here of the shelf compared to here, where there's just one monotone color. But it's not a big difference, I don't think so. Here we have this sort of interesting thing. I'm not sure what this is, and this is iPhone XS and XS. So the colors obviously are the biggest difference to me, and also this picture is from like a bit more. The wider angle makes it appear further, and this one appears closer, but it's actually taken from the same place. Colors obviously are better here on iPhone XS, and nothing really better on iPhone XS, to be honest. Nothing really comes to mind. Here is one of those cases that I actually don't agree with the way iPhone XS works. So this is the S version, iPhone XS, and you can see this is X because you can definitely see nothing from the window, and because of the HDR you can see pretty much everything from the window. The colors, the picture, everything is clean. And even if you look at these lamps, these lights of illuminating the books, look here, it's so overexposed in this area, these parts. Here it's just more nicer. However, if you go back, you can see it's actually, because it's so overexposed, the background and the walls are more realistic, whereas here it's so much smoothing and noise. So I don't know, like, of course I prefer this one because I can see HDR and I can see better in terms of lights, but this doesn't look too bad in terms of the color of skin tones, basically, of the wall paint. So that's something that I just don't like in iPhone XS. Here we have XS and we have XS. Obviously the difference is that the light bulb is much more overexposed in XS, but this actually can be corrected if you just point and tap to focus somewhere here and or manually switch the exposure to down. Here is the best way explained how HDR works on XS, and it doesn't work on XS. As you can see, it's just horrible colors, whereas colors here are very, very well kept, and you can also see US flag here as well, whereas here it's just barely see it. Or even NFL. This NFL, you don't even see it's NFL. Here you definitely can see NFL. So clearly a better photo in this scenario. Moving on, we have this sort of interesting scenario. XS and XS. You can see the X completely overexposed this picture. And also here, what's the biggest problem is that S version doesn't really have much of a accuracy and sharpness on the floor. If you look here, I can separately open them too. Oops, not this one. You can definitely see what I'm trying to say. If the X is on the right, the S is on the left. If we go zoom in, you can definitely see that here, this is much more sharper to me. To my eye, this looks sharper. There's much more detail here. To me, that's how it looks like. Even the color, actually, I prefer this one more. Although I don't remember which one being the more accurate one. I do think this is much more sharper here than here. I don't know, it just feels more sharper to me. I don't know why. It's like a cheat that Apple uses, to be honest, that makes them, makes the photos less sharpy. It's just sharpness goes down in favor of color and maybe lighting. So I'm not sure. Here, iPhone XS doesn't do too bad here. I mean, the light is kind of nice contrast, and of course on XS it's completely different quality and warmth, basically so much warmer on iPhone XS and so much colder on iPhone X. I do remember being this color, so I think in this case iPhone XS wins in terms of color accuracy. So it's just so much depends on your situation. It's so strange. Again, same situation. X is on the right. You can see so much it's overexposed here, and then it's just clearly better here. You can see more stuff here, and it's actually sharper. So that's also good. So we get less sharpness here. So that's one of the benefits that should work normally for iPhone XS. Here, what I don't like is actually XS using, again, smart HDR to aggressively try to correct this area of the sky. As you can see, a reflection of the sky, and which makes the picture completely washed in terms of the actual color accuracy, which is well presented for iPhone XS. See, you can see the leaves, it's much more like vibrant. The color is much accurate to me, the way I remember. XS, it's a bit washed out because it tries to find the best of all. So it tries to find the best background and the best foreground and kind of merges together, so you have some sort of something in between this and exposed, of course, sky. So I really don't know. I would still prefer this one because because my focus is the leaves, but I can understand why Apple did this, HDR system. Moving on, we have this and this. Now here is a bit weird because we do have, like on the iPhone XS, the corks are much more, expressed, whereas on X, the corks have less detail. But the iPhone XS has much more correct colors of these jugs, and you can clearly see that something is going wrong with this washed out image on iPhone XS. I don't know why, but a lot of cases I see iPhone XS is just washing out some of the pictures unnecessarily. Here is not one of those cases actually. Here iPhone XS makes amazing HDR effect here, whereas iPhone XS just is completely different. Even this is not as good as here. So again, look at this restaurant here. It's just a little bit more detail and actually true to color. I do remember this being a bit of greenish color and yellow instead of this sort of orange/pink or peach color. However, you can also see that this time around the floor, the actual street floor or street pavement, sorry, is much more correct in this case, and it's just not good on iPhone XS. This is just not good. Like here, this is just better to me, and here it's just, these are weird artifacts and colors. Same goes with this sort of step. Moving on, we have at O2. This is O2, sometimes visited. As you can see, I was focusing on these lamps, and iPhone XS does an amazing job actually correcting the correct exposure here. Not really good here, but you can see Soho and all these lamps in decent shape. Move to iPhone XS. These lamps are a bit more overexposed. Soho is also a bit overexposed, and obviously you can see some extra information on XS because of the wide angle thing. Nothing else comes to my mind. If you can spot anything else. Oh yeah, I think this color is also a bit strange. Like look at this blue here. So it's different color here, but on iPhone XS it's blue. I don't remember this color, so I cannot say for sure. But yeah, I would still prefer iPhone XS picture here. Moving on, we have just a bit left, maybe 5 pictures or something, 6 pictures. A bit more close-up for iPhone XS and close-up for iPhone XS. To be honest, X isn't doing too bad, but you can definitely see here on the background, these sandwiches are definitely overexposed, whereas you can actually see all of those sandwiches very well exposed on XS. So kudos for iPhone XS for that. It definitely achieves that point, and it's actually sharper to what I can see. Moving on, also very low light. This is XS, XX. Obviously better because you can see some of the information here, and it's just too dark outside. Yeah, I mean, colors are also better maintained, and also you can. Okay, so here's another issue I have. Look at this Waitrose, and now look at this Waitrose. Now that's a problem. I think this is what I'm saying. It's that it's better picture in terms of color and exposure, but it's not sharp enough. You can definitely even see here. Let me open it up again separately. Look at these signs. This is the reoccurring problem on XS. Look at the sign here and here. Like, this is night and day difference. Same on Waitrose, same on, like, this is much more cleaner, and depends on what sort of thing you're using this picture for. I mean, just, I don't know. Like, I don't know which one to pick, to be honest, because this is definitely nicer. Now, maybe I could try to focus better on this picture. Maybe I would, try to get a better version, but I don't know. This is not the first time I've seen this. So obviously in this case, iPhone XS just does a bit worse. Like all of these bricks, it's just a bit better in terms of S. As you can see, iPhone XS is just more sharper and less sharp here. Even the color is actually bad. The color of bush itself is weird, and the top part of the stone is also just worse to me. Everything is better on 10S in this time. Moving on, this is Sketch 10S and 10X. Obviously, the big difference is that some of these bulbs, light bulbs or whatever that is, are way overexposed, and you don't actually see the color of these ones. So yeah, this is definitely one of those cases I will take S anytime. This is a neon light, and this time around, I would go with iPhone 10, to be honest, 10X. Or why am I calling iPhone 10X? This is 10, iPhone X, or iPhone 10. Was I calling iPhone 10X all this time? Oh my god, I just realized that. So this is a neon on X and S. You can definitely see that this is much more like professional, and this is tries to overexpose for some reason because it tries to explain the background with HDR. Unnecessary. I think most of these cases, low light with HDR is unnecessary, I think, on 10S. It's just they need to change it. Here, although it's a bit different because 10S is correct with the colors, look at how correct the colors are, and X is just so red. It's just wrong. Like, these things were green. These things, from right to left, you can definitely see how green they are. This is actual picture. So from one point to another, I'm saying that here the HDR is unnecessary, right? And here I'm saying that HDR saves the color. I mean, this is night and day again difference. Like, this is too much red on iPhone 10. I mean, I don't take a lot of low light pictures, but I mean, come on, like, this is definitely better. The colors of this neon is just way better here than here. And I mean this time around actually background is kind of good on iPhone 10, but or X. But yeah, so these are all my pictures that I've separately, separated for this video. And if you liked them, if you liked what this was all about, if you have any sort of opinions, you can have a post about them. These are all my samples, all mine, and all of them should be correct. I checked everything. This should be the S version, and XS should be the 10 version. Yep, everything is correct. I don't need to lie. There's no point. I like to find problems. I don't, create problems. So yeah, really mixed opinions. Some of the cases, I think iPhone XS is just straight up doing better in terms of HDR. But the way I see it is that you need to completely adjust your smart HDR depending on what you're taking picture of. Like this case, there is no need for smart HDR. I prefer a better colors on the leaves. Here that's fine. Just like here, I guess I need to focus here, I guess, on this text to make it sharper. It's just a lot of adjustments I need to do before taking picture. Whereas iPhone X, just take a picture and that's just works. And it's not always, of course, the same correct color, but it's just a mixed bag of emotion, to be honest. It's not clear to say, oh, iPhone X is always better. Obviously not. There are a lot of cases I just didn't like for example, this one is just unnecessarily changing the color of real sky, which is this. Of course, I would prefer much more exposure here, but the color of this blue and this black that shouldn't be visible, iPhone XS just tries to make it visible for some reason. Like, tries his best to find, this sort of every detail here, or just change the color of the sky. Why? That's just not what it's supposed to do. I mean, just aggressive HDR, I think. But otherwise, wider angle field of view is fine. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.